The idea of one of the strongest mantras for humans on earth, one of the strongest tools, is as you wake up in the morning and as you go to sleep at night, to say, perhaps at least 3 times, I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. And then see what synchronicity brings you with the willingness to let go of all restrictions, all limitations, all assumptions and all insistences that in your unconscious, subconscious, and conscious mind don't actually serve you or don't align with the vibration of your true ethereal spiritual core. Then reality will unfold as it needs to serve you best.
The 2-word sacred mantra. Repeat after me. So what? Very powerful. 2-word sacred mantra. So in other words, should you decide to move forward and should what you fear will happen, so what? Pick yourself up, keep moving. It cannot actually ultimately destroy you. It will only make you stronger. Because you will have discovered more of yourself. Even if the modality, remember what we said? Even if the modality is extremely scary, even if the scenario is extremely frightening, invite yourself to go through it because you will go through it.
My fear is it's too big. That's
nonsense.
That's the fear. That's what I'm holding on to. You asked what my fear was?
Yes, but it's nonsense. Because it cannot, by definition, be bigger than you are.
I totally agree.
Well, there you go.
And the mantra is this: circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. And again, listen to the way that this synchronistically translates in your English language. Circumstances don't matter. They do not create materialization. Only state of being matters. Only state of being materializes experience. So, the mantra is, anytime you find yourself doubting, stuck, fearful, because of what you believe the situation is, what you believe the circumstances are, you can, if you wish, use this little reminder. Circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. And then choose the state of being you prefer. And then redefine the circumstances from that state of being, so that you can erase the echo and allow the true reflection to then take form from your state of being.
Each and every statement invokes a particular and very specific frequency and state of being. All of them together will combine to create a master frequency, that bubble reality in your energy field that will allow you to develop, the more you do it, this sense, this innate sense of inner peace, and allow it to become not your second nature, but your first nature, knowing yourself more clearly.
Repeat. I am who I am for a reason.
You are unique. If you exist, then all that is needs you to exist, for without you, it would not be all that is. So allow the first statement to be an honoring of your existence, your uniqueness. You are who you are for a reason. Your mission, your purpose in life, no matter how you may choose to express the mission, no matter how you may choose to express the purpose, is fundamentally to be yourself, your unique self as fully as you can, which is why it is so important to act on your passion, since that energy is representative and your physical translation of your core frequency, your true self. So this first 5 minutes of the meditation, and you may simply
Repeat the phrase if you wish, silently or out loud. It's, again, up to you, but it is for the purpose of honoring your existence and the fact that you are worthy of that existence, the fact that you belong in existence, or you wouldn't exist, because creation doesn't make mistakes. The second statement.
Repeat. No insistence, no resistance.
Insistence in your life on a particular thing that must happen or something will go wrong is actually a form of resisting what could be there much better than you even imagined. So allow the resistance in your life to melt away. Allow synchronicity to bring you what you truly need, and relax the idea of the negative ego's insistence on what it wants so that you can truly receive what you actually need that will benefit you best in your life. No insistence, then there will be no resistance. Let yourself flow, because every one of you has your own current in the river of creation. The current already knows where you need to go. Let yourself go with the flow. Resistance will have you swimming upstream against the current, and it will create difficulty and struggle and pain in your life. So relax, go with the flow. You will wind up exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be there. Perfect timing. The next statement.
Repeat. I am an indestructible being at my core.
I am an indestructible being at my core. The fact that you exist cannot be changed. You can change the form of your existence, the expression of your existence, the experience of your existence, but the fact that you exist is fundamental. You cannot change that. You are an indestructible, eternal being. That will never change. So feel that indestructibility in your core. And next.
The past and the future are illusions. There is only now.
Now is all there is. When someone asks you for the time, you don't say, it is then. You don't say, it is when. You don't say, it is will be. You say, it is now. For that is all that exists. And everything that exists, exists now. You have created the illusion of time to help you experience process in a certain way, and that is all well and good and is very creative. But the idea is that the so-called past and the so-called future are simply alternate nows existing simultaneously with whatever now you believe you are experiencing at this moment. When you shift, you are not shifting into the future, you are not shifting from the past, you are shifting into an alternate now, because that's the way you experience things from a linear perspective. But everything exists all at once. They are all here, they are all now, they are all within your consciousness. You are here and now. And next.
Everything happens in perfect timing. I will miss nothing.
Everything that needs to happen in your life, if you focus on what you need, will come to you exactly when you need it. It is not possible for you to miss any agreements, any appointments that you have made that are relevant for you to experience in your life, with one exception. Focusing and worrying that you will miss the appointment, worrying that you will miss the agreement, will allow you to miss it. But if you do not worry that you will miss something important, something relevant for you, you will not miss a thing. Nothing will be left out, for this is the nature and the definition of acting on your passion. It contains everything that's relevant for you, specifically for you in your life. That's why it's your passion, designed to harmonize with your frequency, and it automatically contains everything you need, and it will unfold, if you allow it to, in perfect timing. Nothing will be left out that is important for you to experience in your life. If it's not there, you don't need it. let it go. Next.
My life is my own. No one can live it for me.
We understand on your planet many times you will be quite bombarded by people telling you what you should and should not do, who you should and should not be. And it doesn't mean that you cannot take advice, and it doesn't mean that you cannot follow guidance, for sometimes guidance is wisely given. But when it comes right down to it, you are the only one that can decide what is really true for you. If you explore yourself with honesty and clarity, you will know the difference between what really is your excitement and what really is your fear-based anxiety. You will know what direction is really true for you. And by choosing the thing that is really you, that is actually the best way to honor everyone else, including your parents, even if they don't necessarily believe that your choices are of great benefit to you. If you have explored and done your due diligence within yourself to know as best as you can at any given moment who you truly know yourself to be, which doesn't mean you won't change, which doesn't mean you won't know more later, which doesn't mean you won't get better. Of course you will. But at every given moment, you are a perfect representation of who you are at this moment. And in the next moment, even though you may change and learn more and do things differently, you will then simply be a different perfect, not more perfect, a different perfect. So no one can really live your life. No one can really know what's best for you. Again, advice can be taken, can be listened to. You can assess it as to whether it's true for you or not, but ultimately you have to decide who you are, who you prefer to be, and what the path of least resistance is for you. No one can tell you that. You have to tell it to yourself. And next.
I am unconditionally supported by creation.
Unconditionally. If you need to, look the word up. It means with no condition. Unconditionally loved. Unconditionally supported. So unconditionally loved, so unconditionally supported that you are even allowed to believe you are not loved and not supported. That's how supported and loved you are. You're allowed to believe anything, even the things that are not really so. That is proof that you are unconditionally supported, because if you weren't, there would be conditions and you wouldn't be able to believe those things. You would be forced to believe something, but you are free to choose anything that you wish to believe. That's how supported you are. And next.
I am an expression of nature.
You do not live in nature. You do not live with nature. You are nature. You are an extension of that which is natural. There really isn't anything that is supernatural or paranormal or metaphysical. It's all natural. It's all normal. It all has representation in your physical reality in some way, shape, or form. We understand there are higher energies that are non-physical that you can tap into, but that doesn't make them supernatural. It simply makes them another form of nature. You are an expression of nature in all the things you do. Do not segregate or separate yourself out from the idea of being part of the natural world, the natural universe. You are an expression of nature. And knowing that and acting like you know it is what will also help you make all the connections to other expressions of nature that are important for you to experience your reality in a holistic way, rather than a jumbled collection of parts that seem disconnected one from the other. The more you connect to the true nature of your being, the easier it will be for you to connect to all other expressions of nature as well, and see yourselves as an expression of a holistic system. And next.
I always have exactly what I need.
Everything that comes to you even if it's something in the moment that you neutrally and objectively recognize you don't prefer, must be there for a reason. If you stay in a positive state with it and know that at that moment, no matter how it looks, it's what you need to move on to the next best place, then you will relate to it in a positive way and be capable of extracting a positive effect from it, no matter how it looks, no matter how it originated, no matter what anyone else's opinion about it is, no matter what anyone else's experience about it may be. If you remain in a positive state, you will extract a positive effect from it. Whatever happens is the most important thing going on right now in this moment in your life. Whatever it is, no matter how it looks, stay in a positive state. You'll be able to use it in a positive way. You have everything you need. The manifestation will happen in perfect timing, but everything you need is right here, right now. Nothing is missing. Nothing is missing. Some of it may seem invisible to you, but that's just because it's not the time for that to manifest solidly. It's not the time for that necessarily to come into your awareness, because there may be a process you need to go through so that when it does manifest, you will have a deeper appreciation of exactly how to use it. But everything you need is right here, right now, already. You are missing nothing. And next.
I give and receive joy, love, and compassion.
Simply put, why not? Because that's what you are. You are joy. You are love. You are given unconditional support, love, and compassion. Why not reflect it? Because that is what will allow you to feel the connection to creation, to all that is, because that's the frequency of existence itself. So why not harmonize with that and know that you are giving it as well as receiving it, and that being of service by giving it is the best way for you to open up as fully as you can to receive it and experience it for yourself, because it's always being given to you. You never have to ask, really. Not really. Because the idea is asking is not really asking for something you don't have. You can ask, but understand that asking is simply asking to be more aware of what you're already being given. Big difference. Big difference. Because you have everything you need. You just have to pay attention to that fact, and you will experience that it is so. And next.
My life is a synchronous orchestration.
Absolutely. Every moment is orchestrated through synchronicity. Nothing happens by accident. Who you may wind up next to in the so-called traffic jam on your freeway is not an accident. It may not necessarily always have a lot to do with you consciously, but you are there for a reason, perhaps to serve what someone else might be going through. It's all an orchestration. You are that powerful. You may not know it, but you are that harmonized. You are that powerful. So powerful you are unconscious of it. You create it to be automatic in the background, so you don't have to overthink it. Just start knowing that no matter where you are, no matter where you wind up, no matter with whom, no matter what's going on, it's happening for a reason, and that reason is because you are part of an orchestration that may have a lot to do with you, a little to do with you, but always has something to do with your participation being needed in that orchestration in order for it to happen in the way it needs to happen for all the participants at that particular moment. If you could only see, really allow yourselves to feel the beautiful orchestration, the powerful orchestration that you all are, you would walk through your day absolutely gobsmacked with your jaws slack and hanging open. Wow. Look at the synchronism in that. And the more you focus on the idea that everything is synchronism, the more synchronism you will experience, the more you will actually be able to experience the orchestration. And pretty soon it will be like walking through a magical dream. Everything falling into place. You will see reality for what it is, a projection of your consciousness, a play on a stage, a beautiful, fantastic, complex play. It's amazing. Let it be so. And then
I am free to choose.
you are always free to choose. There is a phrase that is often heard, often said on your planet, mostly a kind of religious phrase. It's God's will. If God is all that is, why does it need to will anything? It's already experiencing everything it can be. It allows everything to be what it is because that's what it needs to be in order for all that is to be all that is. If it actually exercised will, then it would not be all that it is, because it would be forcing itself to be something, and it wouldn't be allowing itself to be what it is. It would be actually short-circuiting itself, short-changing itself by focusing too much on the need for something to be other than allowing it to be what it is. You are free, absolutely free to choose. That is your greatest gift, the greatest power you have from the unconditionally supportive and loving existence of all that is. You are free to choose. So choose. Exercise that power. Exercise that gift. You are free, absolutely free. Enjoy this meditation. Do it when it feels correct for you, but the more you do it, the greater sense of inner peace and self-empowerment you will have. Enjoy.
These are some questions about love, and particularly self-love. One person is wondering, how can we get to self-love if we don't really know what it feels like? Having been brought up in a situation where they were conditioned to be very self-critical and not have self-acceptance, and not really having that muscle memory of what that state is like to fully accept yourself. How can a person see past all of these negative self-identity issues and really experience the feeling of self-love?
This is where the power of paradox once again comes in. As we have said many times, you may feel powerless, but you're using your power to create that feeling of powerlessness. You may feel disconnected, but you're using your connection to all that is to create the experience of disconnection. So by understanding that you may be criticizing yourself, ask the question, why would I bother to criticize myself if I didn't love myself enough to do so? Because criticizing myself can be used to bring myself back into alignment if I find myself out of alignment. So use the idea of being critical, not in a negative way, but in a positive recognition that the only reason you would be critiquing yourself is because you love yourself enough to do so. And once you realize it from that perspective, you will actually paradoxically not be quite as critical in the negative way, but you will always check in with yourself to make sure that you are choosing the things that are truly vibrationally in alignment and compatible with who you prefer to be. It will change its quality. It will change its feeling. You will still check in, but it won't be a negative criticism. It will be an awareness of the idea of misalignment as opposed to alignment. You'll use it as an aligning tool and not a self-negative judgment on yourself for simply having gone out of alignment.
And what is human love? Is it connection to ourselves? Is there any relationship, such as romantic, family, or otherwise, that's there to help us connect to ourselves and be more of who we really are? And why would a person feel a deep desire to love and be loved? Is it a childhood need that hasn't been fulfilled? Or is it just about really being your full self?
There can be many circumstances in which you can relate the idea of feeling the need to be loved to a childhood situation, but the childhood situation may only have been pointing out the idea that every single being in creation has the urge to align and connect with all that is. If you want to recognize this as a great attraction, a great magnet, so to speak, that allows you to always yearn toward the idea of harmony and alignment with all that is, then you can translate that as a need to experience love of self and everything and all that is. Because love of all that is unconditionally includes you, because you are part of all that is. And love of yourself includes all that is, again, because all that is an expression of you, and you are an expression of it. Not meaning to be too esoteric about this idea. There can be many different expressions of the idea of love. But in your society, sometimes they will get a little bit twisted, and they will get a little bit put upon in the sense of assigning a meaning to why it has to be this way, imposing a structure on it that isn't necessarily as unconditional as you may think. It's all about relationships and realizing that all relationships, as we have said, are for the purpose of each person being attracted to other people to help them become more of themselves through reflection, through dialogue, through all sorts of ways, through behavior, and each person doing the same for the other, allowing them to become more of who they are through recognition and awareness and awakening. And that is the ultimate love, is the idea that relationships are about love, unconditional love, if you're functioning as a reflective mirror for others and yourself, letting them reflect to you what you need to become more of who you are.
Okay, thank you. I want to heal conflict and rekindle my zest for life. You say to follow your passion, but I also feel like my passion is irresponsible. Can you guide me to have clear passion and to help heal the conflict within and without?
Well, we may need to have a conversation with this person about exactly why they're defining the idea of their passion as something that's irresponsible. We would need to understand what it is they are recognizing or defining as irresponsible. But nevertheless, without going into the specifics for that particular individual, if you feel that your passion is irresponsible, then you don't have a clear definition of your passion, because your true passion cannot be irresponsible. If you are being irresponsible, then you're not functioning in your passion. That's really all we can say about it, is to watch your definitions, because by definition, acting on your true passion could never actually be irresponsible. Even if someone else may define it as such, if you know that it's not intentionally harming anyone or misleading anyone in any way, it's not being dishonest, it's a true representation of who and what you are at the moment, and you're able to communicate this clearly to other people and let them know who it is you truly are and what it is that is true for you as a passion, as a truth, as a core vibration for you, then you're not being irresponsible. If you hide these ideas from others, then yes, you may be being irresponsible even about your passion. But then again, you're not functioning truly in your passion if you're being irresponsible that way, by not having true open communication with people about what's going on for you and why you're choosing what it is you're choosing. Come down to the question of why you're choosing to do whatever it is you're choosing to do, and investigate with honesty within yourself about whether you're actually truly acting on a real passion, or whether it's simply your anxiety being disguised as such and then coming off as true irresponsibility.
And what about the situation where a person has a passion for a certain career and they've been following that passion and they've received lots of support from other people doing it, people have invested in them doing it, all of those things that create a bond around their passion, and then they don't feel the passion anymore and they want to change, but they feel guilty about abandoning, in a sense, all the people that have supported them in their passion.
All right, well, again, first and foremost, an honest investigation within yourself about whether it really is your passion, or whether your particular definitions are dampening it, or whether the passion is waning simply because you need to be doing something else that may not seem to be connected, but actually synchronistically will be connected and will appear to be connected once you take upon yourself the ability to do the other thing that you're able to act on that is more passionate for you than the thing you were doing a moment ago. In other words, sometimes your passion can make it seem as if you're going in a direction that isn't connected to your original passion, but may in fact be. So you may have to look at it and include that path that may seem to be disconnected and define it as part of your path, part of the original passion, to see if it will bring you back to the original thing once you have gathered whatever experience you will gather by going off on what seems to be a tangent, but ultimately may prove to be otherwise, may prove to be part of the original passion. Remember, don't judge it by how it looks. Allow yourself to know that all passion is connected to every other passion, and it's the feeling of passion that guides you to let you know that all things are connected, even if on the surface of their appearance they don't seem to be. But always investigate your own definitions to make sure you're not the one dampening the passion when the passion could be there. So the guilt may simply be an aligning energy to let you know some self-investigation needs to be done here to determine for yourself whether you are dampening the excitement through your own negative and fear-based definitions, or whether you're actually going off on another path that is part of the overall path, but doesn't seem to be right now, but you have to trust that if it really has more passion than anything else, and you're not the one dampening the original passion, then it is included in the original passion, and there's something about acting on that particular path that will be important for the original passion as well, or will take you where you need to be. And of course, all of this comes, once again, with clear communication to others about what you're going through, because they may also have some advice for you about how you may handle the situation. Be inclusive in your communication if there are those that support you, and allow them to give you some reflections that may clear up the situation for you immediately, rather than figuring this whole thing out by yourself.
Would that also apply in situations where some people like to build companies, but then once they've finished building it, they're not interested in doing it anymore? They want to go find another company to build.
Yes, perhaps, if, again, that's truly representative of their passion waning naturally, because their passion may simply be to build companies that other people will run. That can be a definition of their passion, and creating new ones for other people to run may be the definition of their passion, sort of like planting seeds but allowing someone else to grow the flowers.
So it just requires self-examination and looking for other ways to handle the situation so that everyone can be served.
Absolutely. That may be the definition of the passion. Not every project has to come to completion with the original person. So the idea is really be honest about what your passion is, and let those that can help continue your passion in the way that serves them also serve you.
Okay. And this person is asking about staying positive, or at least going into a neutral state. Is it necessary to release your negative beliefs in order to stay in a neutral state? Or if your negative beliefs keep coming up and you're not able to move into a neutral state, is there a permission slip or a tip that you can use to get into a neutral state?
Well, again, remember what's being defined here is one of the tools of the formula, which is the reflective mirror. As we have said, you may think you've let go of all of your negative or fear-based beliefs, but if they do keep coming up, if new ones keep coming up, that's the reflective mirror showing you, revealing to you that you may have had a few negative beliefs hiding in your unconscious mind. So the very idea of having them come up is an exciting prospect, because it allows you to let go of them by being made aware of them. If the same thing keeps coming up, all that means is you haven't really found the core negative belief that's generating that particular feeling, because remember, feelings can't exist in a vacuum. So if you feel something, it means there's a belief or a definition behind it that you're buying into. This is a golden opportunity to understand yourself and clarify yourself and become more transparent to yourself, to know thyself more clearly. It's not about arriving someplace where this doesn't happen anymore, although you can, But if you're making that more important than investigating why that came up and what you're still holding on to, then you're missing the point. Whatever's going on in the moment, whatever you're facing in the moment, whatever comes up in the moment is the most important thing that can possibly be happening at that moment, and is part of the process of why you chose to have this physical experience. So get into the idea of these things that come up, find out what you're holding on to that you don't prefer, and let it go by making it nonsensical to keep holding on to it, by making it make no sense to hold on to it. But don't necessarily negate the process. The process is clarifying you.
And how does one differentiate between anxiety and excitement?
I would think it would be self-evident if you're honest. The idea really is you can tell the difference. And this is why we have shared with you questions like, well, if I did move forward in this way, what am I afraid might happen? Because that will reveal any anxieties that might be within you that you were unaware of. And if the whole path is truly anxiety being disguised as passion, because you're afraid to face something within yourself, asking that question will reveal that to you as well. So again, this is why we give you those questions. What would I have to believe is true about myself in this situation in order to feel the way I do, or in order to be confused about whether I'm feeling excitement or anxiety? You can put the question in that form as well. Or again, if I did move forward in what I believe to be my passion, what am I afraid might happen? And that will usually reveal, if you're willing to hear the answer with honesty, that will usually reveal whether what you're doing is actually part of your passion or not.
And what about in the situation where someone has a kind of ADD or some version of that, where bright, shiny object, oh, that's exciting. Oh, I'll run after that. Oh, what about that? And then can't really stay focused on, is that an indication that there's underlying anxiety that is driving that?
Yes, because the idea of ADD, in a sense, energetically, is an avoidance issue of facing something that would actually allow them to stabilize in the present. They're avoiding the present because they have a belief that something in the present is too painful for them to experience. So they're distracted by every shiny object that keeps them out of the present.
Does the Trinity, positive, neutral, and negative, come from our limitation of awareness? Or are there any beings in consciousness in the universe that see existence not in a positive, negative, or neutral perspective?
The positive, negative, neutral perspective is inherently built into all levels of all that is, except all that is can experience the totality without differentiation between those particular energetic aspects.
Where do you see, where is your hopes and where do you think humanity will be in the year 2100, out of curiosity? And has Bashar ever spoken about what the potential of that time period would be for us?
Well, yes, it's the beginning of what he's saying. The evolutionary path for humanity is what he calls evolving into the sixth hybrid race, which is going to expand into the galaxy in a certain way. And we're going to become other civilizations, UFOs, eventually. We're going to be that are going to help other civilizations up the ladder in the same way that these civilizations that we're dealing with are helping us up the ladder. So it's really about becoming members of a galactic society, a galactic family. And it's really about letting ourselves change in ways that give us more abilities. The hybrid beings are going to be coming to live among us. The hybrid children are going to be coming to live among us. There will eventually be blending. And we will be coming, well, as Bashar kind of puts it, we'll actually finally becoming fully human, because we're not fully human yet. So he sees that as the true evolutionary result of us opening up to accept more of who and what we are, connecting to our spiritual selves, bringing more of our souls through the physical experience of our lives, through our physical avatars, and really being star beings, really, really owning what and who we are. And that's going to really just change everything on the earth that we decide to go to, if that's the direction we decide to go. Again, there will be those that don't. But for those that do, I think it will be expanding beyond what we can imagine right now, because there are so many things we're just unaware of that are going on out in the cosmos that we can become a part of. You know, we'll have unlimited resources. There will be no lack of anything. You know, the whole science fiction scenario of, you know, aliens coming to Earth to get our minerals and our resources and stuff like that. There are so many things out there. It's so abundant out there. And they have no lack of anything, and no lack of an ability to get the resources that they need. They certainly don't need this planet to get that. What they need this planet for, and how Earth is so important to them, is what's going on the planet. The idea of how we're facing our challenges, how we're transforming things, the different stories that are being played out here, the effect that the conclusion of those stories have on the cosmos. It's our agreement to be the souls that experience these things and finish these stories that is really the important step to all of these alien civilizations. It's our discovery of our self-empowerment through these incredibly limiting challenges. This is why Bashar has for a long time called us the masters of limitation, because for a while we have been the masters of creating limitation. But when he then says, but what you're doing is learning to become the masters of limitation, where you can overcome those limitations, transform those limitations. And this is a challenging school. But the fact that we can overcome the limitations we put on ourselves is something that other civilizations are also learning from. Because if we can overcome these limitations, these incredible dark limitations, negative limitations, fear-based limitations, as deeply as we've created them and still overcome them, well, civilizations that may not be as steeped in those limitations can look at us and go, well, gosh, if they can do it, we can do it, because we're not as limited as they are, and yet they can still overcome those limitations. So we're a good lesson for a lot of civilizations that are looking to us to be the ones that show this is how you do it. This is how you lose yourself and find yourself again.
I want to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing this transmission to occur through this particular window, on this particular day, and in this particular manner. Once again, each and every time you allow this transmission to be translated through this gateway in this way, it affords our civilization an opportunity to experience new facets and new aspects of creation through the interaction of each and every one of you and your unique presentation of creation. So we thank you for this gift of sharing. We would like to begin this transmission this day of your time with the following notion. We would like to call this following subject the eye of the beholder. We have recently discussed with some of you a new understanding, a new perspective to the question that some of you have had for many years. We have heard many of your people ask about when certain kinds of contact with extraterrestrial species would occur more openly, and we have discussed with many of you for many years some of the reasons as to why this is not yet appropriate. We have talked, and we will now recap briefly the idea about how when civilizations are full of people that are operating on a particular wavelength, a particular frequency of energy, and if that frequency is lower in general than the frequency of energy exhibited by another civilization, then to put the higher frequency civilization in contact with the lower frequency civilization before the lower frequency civilization is ready can actually do harm, because when two frequencies are brought together, the higher one tends to overwhelm the lower one in the specific manner of forcing the lower frequency to speed up. And when your frequency speeds up, that is representative of all the things you have hidden within your consciousness, your psyche, all the fears, all the doubts, being forced to the surface before you may be ready to integrate them, to process them at your own pace, in your own way. And so, civilizations that are of higher frequency, who have respect, will not force themselves upon a lower frequency civilization. And by lower frequency, of course, once again, this is not meant in a judgmental way. It is simply that different people, different civilizations are at different places evolutionarily. And it must be, shall we say, cautionary in how these contacts are made, so as not to do damage, so as not to disrupt, but in respectful manner. And we have talked about this many times. Now, we would like to add one more idea, one more understanding of the effect that encountering an alien species would have upon many of you. Many of you already know that when certain occurrences, life-changing occurrences, happen to you, you look at things very differently. Your perspective of life changes. Your perspective of other people changes. This would be greatly amplified were you to suddenly, at this present point in your evolution, come face to face with some species of other civilizations, in seeing them, in knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are, in your terms, real and present. It would alter not only how you look at things in general, but very specifically would alter how you look at members of your own species. You would never look at humans the same way again. To see, to actually encounter a member of another race from another civilization changes your perspective about all life, all consciousness, especially because of the difference in frequency that you would be subjected to in encountering another species. And when you turn back around and look at your own species, you will not see them the same way. You will not necessarily even see them as real. You will no longer be able to relate to them in the same way. And while there is nothing intrinsically wrong with this, when done without proper preparation, it can be to some degree damaging in your outlook on life. Damaging because you will no longer feel that you fit in, even more so than many of you feel that way now. And the idea is that would literally be alienating to many of you. It is important, from our perspective at least, in our opinion at least, that you remain cohesive even in the changes that you make. For even as many of you change, and even as many of you feel very different from other members of your society, you are still of a kind. You are still of an ilk. The difference we are talking about, the profoundness of the change, would be something beyond what you are used to experiencing. You would truly, in many ways, be alien. And it would not serve you to not be able to fit in certain ways at this time. Until such time as the integration within each and every one of you has taken place to a greater degree than it has right now, until that time, then, physical contact is held back on the part of most species. We know that there are, of course, certain species that are in connection, are in contact with your species, but these have very different agendas, are interacting for very different reasons, and are of very different vibration than many of the species we are talking about that have higher resonances. So do not be impatient for this. The most important thing is to make contact with yourselves, to integrate yourselves, to recognize the differences, to cherish them, to amplify and expand in creative ways upon the diversity within your own culture before you are ready to take the step in learning how to integrate the differences and diversity in other cultures altogether. So we simply offer to you this additional reason for why there is specificity in the timing of when these things will occur. It will not really be so very long. Again, as we have said, the beginnings of some of these encounters will occur within the next decade and will increase and accelerate thereafter as certain changes occur in your society. The point is to simply live your life, not detach yourself from earthly concerns, but recognize that you chose to be where you are for your own reasons, and the idea is to get in touch with those reasons so that you can help not only change yourself, but help others change in beneficial and positive ways according to their own desires and choices, so that in so doing and cherishing your own diversity, you then create the blending and the integration necessary to be capable of presenting yourself as a cohesive planet to other cohesive planets. Then and there will contact be made. Only when you meet us halfway. Until such time, this is the nature of contact now, in that people have been, so to speak, trained to allow conversation and communication and transmissions to occur in this and other similar manners, so that we can have an exchange of ideas without forcing our presence upon you, so that we can leave it up to you to decide whether or not you believe we are real. For we do not care if you believe we are real. We know we are real. The thing that matters is whether you believe in yourselves. That is the most important thing we can impart to any of you. You must believe in yourself, first and foremost. For each of you is a unique aspect of creation and worthy of absolute, full recognition of that fact and unconditional support in that knowing. We thank you for allowing us to share this point of view with you this day of your time. And once again, in return for the gift that you are giving to our world, in allowing us to share in this exchange with you, I ask in return, in what way may I be of service to you now?